Hey you guys, so I really just want to say thank you for everyone who supported this channel thus far. It's really meant a lot to me. And without further ado, let's get into the video. Hey you guys, my name is Rashad Murphy with Money News Management. Today I want to talk to you about 6 common credit card myths. Credit is one of those things that really just seems to be very tricky. Nobody fully understands it except the people that work in credit. Things that people don't understand tends to be pretty scary, and that's understandable. Credit cards have an innate mystery about them. Either you can do so well with one and it helps you in so many different areas, or you can make a couple mistakes and it can actually really hurt you. We're gonna start with something that I hear a lot, and it's just don't get a credit card because you'll end up in debt. It's better to use cash or a debit card. Now, I understand the concept behind this. I get why a lot of people think that a debit card and cash is a lot safer. But in reality, only thing that you need is responsibility. Saying that getting a credit card will send you into a spiral of debt is almost the same as saying that getting a gun will make you a mass murderer.
Bro, what are you talking about, man?
Now, that was kind of an extreme comparison, but the point of the matter is, it's a matter of what you do with it that makes the difference. And I can understand how credit cards can be scary. With the average household credit card balance being $4,300 and the national credit card debt being over $1 trillion, I wouldn't want to get involved with that either. There are so many perks to using a credit card, such as cash back, purchase protection, and various amounts of rewards. But understand that having a credit card is actually a responsibility. Getting a credit card doesn't mean you'll go into debt, but it does mean that you need to understand the proper uses for your card. Don't think of a credit card as an extension of your money. Think of it more as a milestone towards your financial future. A rule of thumb for using a credit card is don't purchase anything that you normally couldn't purchase with cash or on your debit card. It brings me into the next myth of leaving a balance on your card actually helps increase your credit score. Now, I don't know where this myth actually started. I don't really know anyone who does, but if I had to take a guess, I would assume either the banks or the credit card companies made it up, because that's the only people that this myth is actually helping. And personally, I think that this myth actually is more detrimental than any of the other myths on this list. For example, if you leave a small balance of $10 on your card with a 24% interest rate, that means the next month you'll owe an extra $2.40 for nothing. You still need to pay that $10, but now you owe an extra $2.40. With that being said, always pay the full balance of your credit card, because personally, I wouldn't want to give anybody free money, especially if I don't have to. And if you decide to leave a balance on your card, that's exactly what you're doing. With all that being said, let's step into our third myth of it doesn't matter how much you spend on your card as long as you pay off the balance. Now, yes, paying off your balance is important. So if you spend $500, yes, please, by all means, pay it off. One of the main reasons that this myth needs to be thrown away and locked up and never let out of the darkest parts of wherever the heck you put it is simply because of the second largest component of the makeup of your credit score. This component is what's known as credit utilization, meaning how much of your credit limit do you actually use per month? Okay, let's break this down. So let's say you have a $1,000 credit limit and you're spending $1,000 a month. That means your credit utilization is 100%.
Man, Rashad, I thought 100% was good. I got all A's in school. I got 100 on all my tests.
Okay, well, unfortunately, FICO doesn't look at it the same way. Unfortunately, it's the inverse of that fact. The rule of thumb for credit utilization is 30% of your credit limit. Now, that's what most people say. Now, if you're watching this video and either you don't have a good credit score and you're trying to build your credit score, anything under 10% is ideal. Now, 30% utilization is good once your credit score is around like 650 and up. And the reason being is because it shows consistency. And usually your credit limit is a lot higher. So 30% of $1,000 is a lot more than 10% of $1,000. Now, the reason that a high credit utilization is scary to banks and creditors is simply because it looks like you're overextended. Now, in conjunction with credit utilization, we're going to segue into our fourth myth of you should never increase your credit limit. Now, I actually hear this a lot, which is really strange, but understanding the fact that a lot of people don't know a lot about credit and they think that the higher your credit limit, the more likely you're going to go into debt, it makes sense. As long as you're responsible with your credit, it doesn't matter how high your credit limit is. You can have a $100,000 credit limit, but it won't matter if you're not trying to actively use $100,000. Also, if you have a $100,000 credit limit, you're probably doing something right. And this probably doesn't pertain to you. So the way this usually works is consistency. If you've been doing fairly well and paying off your balance each month, usually the bank or the credit union will send you a letter in the mail offering to increase your credit limit. Now, the reason that this is actually good for you is because of your credit utilization. Now, once again, we talked about 30%, and if you're trying to build, 10% or even 1%. Now, let's say you started off with a credit limit of $1,000 a month. At 10%, you can only use $100 a month, and that's if you're trying to build your credit. So let's say you do that for about 6 months and they offer to increase your credit limit to $5,000. Now with the $5,000 credit limit, you can now spend up to $500 and still be at 10%, meaning you get to spend more money and your credit score continues to grow consistently. Which brings me to the next myth, which is you should apply as many times for a card until you get accepted. Now, this one I get, because if you don't have a credit card, you want to just keep applying until you finally get one and then rebuild your credit.
Oh, no! No!
The reason being is because every time you apply for a card, your credit score actually drops.
Oh my God, Rashad, my credit score is already bad, so why would I apply for a card and then I get rejected and now my credit score is even worse?
Well, you're in luck because the hit actually only lasts up to a year. And there are numerous apps out there to help you figure out what card would actually be best for you to start with. One of the best ones out is Credit Karma. Credit Karma actually uses an algorithm to give you your estimated credit score. And with that estimated credit score, Credit Karma actually recommends cards that would be good for you to start with. And something common that I hear in conjunction with this point is, I don't have a good credit score, I can't get a credit card anyway. Even if you don't want to use Credit Karma, you can actually apply for a bank card. Most of us have debit cards already, and most banks offer you an option for what's referred to as a secured credit card. Now, a secured credit card is a credit card where you put money up front that will help if you end up defaulting on your payment. For example, if you go to your bank and you say, hey, I would like a secured credit card, they'll pull out a list of options that they have. Now, these options can range from anywhere between $300 to $1,000. Now, these are great cards to start off with because almost everyone is approved for it because you put the money up front to help if you default on the loan. So it's a very low risk card. Brings us to our sixth and final point, that opening a new credit account will drop your score drastically. Although this isn't a myth, but more a common misconception, it still needs to be addressed. Yes, opening a new account will drop your credit score, but not by much. And the reason being is because of two factors. One being the average life of credit history. The other being what's referred to as new credit. Now, these two components go hand in hand with this for the simple fact that when you open a new account, it decreases the average life of your credit history. Rashad, what does that even mean? Okay, so if you were to have started off with a secured credit card in January of 2019, that means the lifespan of your credit history is only a year old. Now, if you apply for a new card and get it in January of 2020, that means your credit life is only 6 months old, because now you have two cards averaged out over the course of that year. So in simple terms, it's the average life of all of your cards together, from when you got your first card to when you got your newest card. The other component of new credit is actually one of the smallest components of the composition of your credit score. And it simply just means that you have a new line of credit. And bringing something new into something that's been consistent and fortified for so long can actually leave room for a lot of errors. A good rule of thumb for applying for new credit cards is to wait about a year between each card. And do that consistently each year for as many cards as you plan to have. Now, please don't go crazy and decide to do this for 10 years straight and end up with 10 credit cards. And those are 6 of the most common credit card myths. If you've ever heard of any of those myths, go ahead and give the video a like and drop which one that you heard in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Well, that's all for today. I really hope this list helped, and I'll see you next time when we return to help you manage your money.